All right, well, over to the United States. Look, it's a big election year, and joining us live now is Curtin University's Dean of Global Futures, Professor Joe Siracusa. Good to see you again, Professor. So in exactly a month from today, the US Supreme Court will begin its decision on whether to allow Colorado to exclude Donald Trump from the state ballot for this year's presidential election. But this now is greater than one state, isn't it? And the Supreme Court's decision could rule whether Donald Trump can or cannot hold office.
Yes, this is a big deal. Good morning, Kenny. The Supreme Court is going to weigh in the way it did in 2008, not only to determine whether Trump could be on the ballot in Colorado, but whether he can run for office at all. So this is really a test of whether Americans can tolerate with the Supreme Court's involvement in political affairs. Supreme Court doesn't want to go down this way, Kenny, but it has to because there's no umpire left on the road. Now, today is 3 years since the January 6th event. I watched every minute of that. In fact, I've been watching American politics for about 50 years, and I can tell you that was not an insurrection. It was a protest that became a riot. And people who assume that there was an attempt to overthrow the American government that day must have been very frightened about what they saw because of their proximity, or that it's very exaggerated. Now, Trump's critics have been going after him since he took office. The Mueller report, impeachment 1, impeachment 2, and now these 91 felony charges against him in four courtrooms. So they're all coming after the guy. I mean, they just want to get rid of him, whatever they can. But this decision now is going to put everything on the line. Now, I believe the Supreme Court will rule 9-0 to that Trump is eligible because the Secretary of State, not only in Colorado, but anticipating in Maine, has decided for himself or themselves that the president has committed a crime under under 14th Amendment. And of course, this is a very unusual reading of the 14th Amendment. Section 3 says, if you were a part of the insurrection, they're talking about the Civil War which ended in 1865, and that you can't serve in Congress because they didn't want any Johnny Rebs back in Congress to disturb what was going to happen to the South after the war. So this is really an exaggeration of Amendment 14. Now, if you watch mainstream media in the United States, they tell you with a firm voice or with a sort of a solemn voice that this is a serious crime and it has to be accounted for. If you talk to and you don't have to be Trump supporters. There's a lot of good people out there who think these are terrible charges against Trump. They don't even like him, like Alan Dershowitz, the former law professor at Harvard University. So the Democrats continue to play the man instead of the ball. And Trump, of course, is destroying everybody in the polls. He's got the primaries locked up, the primary thing. I'm not so sure how he's going to do in New Hampshire against Ambassador the ambassador from South Carolina, Nikki Haley, but I know he's going to do pretty well in Iowa. He has a 40-50% lead, and he hasn't had anybody really very close to him. He's been 40-50%. And
well, Professor, can I ask you a bit, just while I've got you? President Joe Biden has delivered a speech, a ferocious condemnation of his opponent, Donald Trump, who he says would undo the nation's bedrock democracy if he returned to power for his own personal benefit, says your freedom is on the ballot. What do you make of that speech?
Oh, it's a nonsense speech. It's a call to arms, that a vote for Biden is a vote for democracy. Biden says that democracy is on the ballot, but he forgets something. He's on the ballot. And 70% of Americans don't want him on the ballot. 50% of Democrats don't want him on the ballot because they see him as a loser. And on election day, we not only elect the president, but we elect governors and mayors and dog catchers, and they don't want to ride that ticket down with him because they think he's going to lose, and he probably will. He's right now he's 2 points in terms of losing. The Vegas odds maker have already got the President Biden as a 5-1 favorite, and Trump is 4-1, to give you an idea where we are. But look, the speech is a call to arms when in fact it isn't, as a matter of fact. And Biden, he's got a failed foreign policy in Israel and Afghanistan and Ukraine. He's got domestic inflation that won't go away. He's got this damn war in Israel that just makes the diplomacy of the administration hopeless. That is, it wasn't able to intervene or do anything about it, or to ameliorate the conditions there. So look, trying to blame Trump for everything is ridiculous. And I'm not worried about American democracy if Trump returns to power. There'll be some adjustments, but Donald Trump represents a great stream of American people who think they got shortchanged on globalization. That is, they lost their jobs. They got shortchanged in a whole lot of things. And Trump didn't have a movement before he ran. The movement found him.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there, Joe. We're going to have to run there because we've got to get to some other stories. But good to chat as always. We'll talk to you again soon, mate.
Okay, Kenny. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Professor.